and hermanos. This is a question, and when you read a book with a question as a title, you are curious to find out the answer, but don't go to the last page and find who is the culprit, who is the criminal. This is not about detectives from Chicago Police Department. This is something else. It's about our life. And our life, it's page after page, day after day, with ups and downs. So stick with us. Come here every evening. I mean, tomorrow night will be another session. Then for Saturday, for the Sabbath, we're going to have an open discussion for the Sabbath school class. Of course, a message delivered by Dr. Muller. And after lunch, the last session at 2 o'clock. It's not going to be anything in the evening time. Feel free to get a book and leave a contribution. Or if you feel like touched by those messages, you can write a check for Hammond Seventh-day Adventist Church Evangelist Ministry. Feel free to encourage and to support the ministry of Dr. Muller in having a check for him. Why not? Just pay attention and don't be satisfied with the preacher and the doctor is saying. The preacher and the doctor is saying. Question. Come up with your question. Say, I don't think this is the way. I don't believe this is biblical. I don't believe this is science. And we'll figure out. But let me assure you, every single time I try to corner Dr. Muller, no, I couldn't. Because what he is preaching is solid science and solid Bible. So far. Let's pray, Lord. Bless us with open minds. Help us not just to be here with our body presence in the pews, but with a sharp mind, alert, understanding, allowing the Holy Spirit to convince us what's the next step in this healing process. We all need healings from our problems, but most of all, we need a healing from this terrible cancer called sin. Thank you, Lord, for providing the answer through the cross of Jesus Christ. In His name we pray. Amen.
One. Yes, it is now working. So we have started last night to see a little bit an introduction that man does not live just by bread alone, by physical things, but also from the Word of God. And we have seen that we can trust something that is unchangeable, and that we can for surely trust is our body. He can never lie. He will always tell the truth. And he communicates straight if we understand him. But if we miss something as the basic need of the human being, then of course we will not be able to overcome disease as we should. So what is it that we miss in medicine? What is it that counts more than just the medications that we get prescribed by the doctor? So we have seen that the body does all things intentional. That means when we are hungry, then it's an intention to save our life. When we're thirsty, it's an intention so that we know the water is lacking and we need to put more water in. When we're tired, then we know we need to go to get some sleep. When we have shortness of breath, we know we have a lack of oxygen. When we are freezing, we have a lack of warmth. And when we are sweating, we have too much heat. And when we are sick, what do we lack? We have inflammation, pain, tumors, cancer, high blood pressure, all kinds of diseases, symptoms. What do we miss? And if you don't know, what can we do? If we don't know it, we fight the symptom. Imagine it is not very, very smart to fight hunger except by eating, is it? And to fight the thirst by drinking water. So we have to understand that when we fight disease, we do not understand what the symptom says, and so we fight the symptom. See, it would be stupid to fight hunger, thirst, shortness, and all this with medication, would it? But when it comes to disease, we fight it with medication. And that's not very sound, is it? To just not understand what the body misses so that you say, aha, I know the symptom, he misses this, and I supply that need. And we saw last night, and we put up that thesis, so to say, that it's what he misses is love. Because the body cannot miss something that he does not need. So only a basic need is that what, when we miss it, can make the body to not function well. So love is that what we don't know, and since it's not included in health, it's not in the center of the health message, so we are ignoring that. But everything I found was it is a spiritual matter. It's a way of thinking, and that comes from relationships. We remember the quote, "The love which Christ diffuses through the whole being is a vitalizing power." Every vital part, the brain, the heart, the nerves, it touches with healing. By it, the highest energies of the being are roused to activity. So what is love? Power or no power? It's power to the body. It frees the soul from the guilt and sorrow, the anxiety and care that crushes the life forces. With its serenity and composure, it implants in the soul joy that nothing earthly can destroy, joy in the Holy Spirit, health-giving, life-giving joy. So that what is missed in medicine is the fuel of life. The fuel of life is love. And if we don't have love, then we don't have life. So this is where Adam and Eve made the disconnection, that they disconnected from the source of love. Now, how can we prove it? Because no one talks about love when it comes to disease. No one says, oh, it's your relationship, or it's anything there in your relationship that brings you into trouble. Because we don't know it. We do not pay attention to it. And medicine has no interest to tell us it, even if they know it, because you cannot make money with love. Yeah? You cannot make a business selling love. This is why,
Well, there are some.
well, that's not real love. That's another business. But when I started counseling my patients, in Germany you have no when we do all the payments go through insurance, so the patient never pays me anything. Yeah, it all goes to the insurance and insurance companies, and so on. So we only get a certain amount for each patient for 3 months, and so there is no way to say I spend half an hour with the patient and give me more money for that. Because for time, even in medicine, at least in the German system, there is no payment for. Yeah, suppose like time is no money, yeah? So only when you do something for the patient, but when you speak to him, there is no way to charge him. And so you could charge private patients. In the private insurances, there is a number, a certain amount. When you spend more than 20 minutes, then they give you something for that. But in the normal Medicare, or how you call it here, there is no such thing. And healthcare. So that's why I do all my counseling for free. And some people say, well, how can you give me so much time? Because I take an hour and a half, about 3 to 4 times, until I explain everything to the patient. And if he needs more, then I speak more with him. So, but all that is for free because there is no charge for love. And I say to them, I do it out of love. And for love, you cannot ask nothing, because love is free. Is it? Yeah, by definition, love is like the air. It's free of charge. You just have to breathe it in. So how can we prove that what is the center of life is not the food, it's not your lifestyle, but it is the way you relate to the people around you? So we can never prove anything if we don't have something that is unchangeable. And the first thing that we will see tonight that is unchangeable is the fundamental law of nature. Everything is based on this law, which basically is not known. And we have to see it here because on it I base the title of all my presentations, that is the law of life. Yeah? And you find it as well in the Bible described, but if you don't know what it is, you don't see it even in the Bible. Because then there is the law of relationship, those 2 tables of the commandments that God has given to Moses with the 10 precepts, so to say, on it. And then we need to know human nature. We need to know, okay, how are we wired? Where is love to be found? And how it impacts the body. Because if it is the fuel of life, we need to know where it comes into the body, is it? Yeah? So that's why it has to be very, very clear. And if you have the law and the human nature, then we can figure out things very precisely and without a shadow of doubt. Without a shadow of doubt. So let's start with the law. Everything in this universe, God created with a certain pattern. And that pattern is that everything is a channel. It means, by definition, it must have an entrance and an exit. So, a channel, it doesn't need to be a pipe. Yeah, it is something that takes things in and passes them on. So, and if everything from the smallest to the most complex thing that God created is made to work as a channel, then there is only one law that governs every channel. And that law says nothing can exist or function by itself. That means the first thing every channel needs to do is to take over the power. So that's the first condition. And then the second condition is that the channel does nothing for himself, but he does everything to pass those things on, to give them on. So the principle of the law says every channel needs to be open. It has first to take those needs that it needs, and every channel has different needs. It's not the same for every channel, but every channel works according to the principle. It does not do it for itself. So if we would have a child here, we would ask him if he would have eaten today, and the child would probably say yes. Yeah? And then we ask the child, for whom did you eat? What would the child answer? For myself. For myself. Is that the truth or is it a deception? Can one eat for himself? Or is it impossible that one can eat for himself? What is the truth? The law or what you perceive?
Perception is flawed, so it has to be the law.
So the law. So according to the law, how much can any channel do for himself? Nothing. Nothing. Because nothing was made for itself. Everything was made to function in a system, and everything was made to be dependent on each channel so that it can work. Just looking to our body, we have a stomach. How much does the stomach keep food for itself? If the stomach would keep something for itself, what will happen with us finally? We will die. Yes, because the channel is blocked at a certain time. If just a little bit it keeps for itself, it comes the day where the channel is then totally blocked. That's what happens with tumors when they grow, yeah, and then they block the passage. Then you are in trouble, because the stomach can do nothing for itself. And then we have the lung. How much oxygen that we inhale keeps the lung for itself? How much? None. It takes it in and gives as much as it takes. It passes on. And do the lung need oxygen? Yes? Who gives it to them? No. Who feeds the lung cells with oxygen? It's the blood. Yes. So the lung gives it all to the blood, and the blood takes all the oxygen. How much does the blood keep oxygen for itself? None. It just brings it to all the cells and passes on. So you can look at on everything in nature. You will find no way that something that works is a blocked channel. So every problem that we face in techniques, in any field, is a blocked channel. And disease is nothing else than a blocked channel. And we have many channels. So when the stomach is blocked, we die. When the heart is blocked, we die. When the brain doesn't get enough oxygen, we die. Or have a stroke and have difficulties in the body. So the law is absolute, and there are how many exceptions? There is no exceptions. If in the law there would be an exception, it's not a law. Yeah? There is no exception. Everything must work according to this law. It is dependent to take, and it has to pass it on. And on physical level, it just happens. I push this here, or you start rubbing on your chair, and there would happen what? It would produce what? Heat, yes? And that heat is passed on. Nothing can keep it. You hammer on that, and the wood takes it and passes it on. So when we take domino pieces, and it doesn't matter how many we put, how many do we need to start? One. It takes the power. What does it do? Keeps it for himself? Cannot. It's impossible. It passes it on. The next one is hit, takes the power, and passes it on. How much energy is lost? There's no loss of energy, yeah? Because it always passes it on. Yeah? So the way God created the universe is an amazing thing. Everything is selfless. There is nothing that works for itself. And according to this, as we find the channels and their need, then by law, God must exist as the supplier of the need for the channels. And I always paint God as a circle, because the Bible also describes him like that. He is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. That's a circle. Because the circle functions at the place he starts, he also ends. And the Apostle Paul was knowing God very well. He said, from him, through him, and to him are how many things? All things. All things. So that's also a circle. Going out from him, everything is kept through him, and everything must return to him. So that's how the whole universe functions, and God is the one that supplies every channel, and his power, which is an active power, a channel takes in and passes it on. Simple? Yes or no? Yeah, it's very simple, and it shows divine wisdom to just build everything in the same way. And how many different things can you do by the same pattern? Infinite, yeah? But it's all connected together. Yeah? So the same thing is with us who needs love. So I once was in a school, in a college in Asia, and the girls were sitting on the right side and the boys on the other side. And there were about 750 students, and of course girls are always more than boys. And so I asked the girls if they need love. What was their answer? Yes, they need love. And I say, and how much love do you need? Yeah, so a lot. Never ask a man if he needs love because he doesn't know that. Yeah, he's not aware of it. Yeah, so, and now I put the next question to the girls. I say, how much love do you need for yourself? How much? How much love do you need for yourself? Well, according to the law, how much love does the channel need for himself? None. He just needed to pass it on. So I said the need of the girls for love is there that they may love the boys on the other side. I don't like it so much because everyone wants love for himself. But you can never eat for you, you cannot drink for you. No need that we have is for us. It also is there to use it. And by using it, doing something. Like this microphone uses the power in order to amplify the sounds. And this pointer is just helping when I push the button to do something. When there is no power, how much can I press? Nothing works. And does he do it for himself? Does he serve himself when he obeys the clicks? Yes or no? No, there is nothing that lives for itself. So by this, we have a definition that God is love. Because he made everything to function selflessly. That's the mirror of him. That's the image that he has. So you can never tell God or can never find in God any selfishness or anything he needs. Because how many things come from him? All things. So does he need anything? And some people come and say, oh, he needs our love. Yeah, because he says, love me. Yeah, and so he made us that we should love him. Because he's so poor, he has no one in the universe to love him. And in our misconception about love, we paint and have an impression about God that is very selfish. But when we look to the law, selfishness is excluded because it's not existing in everything that God created, except in one place. What is that place? Pardon? The human heart. Not the being, because our body functions, and even our heart still functions according God has created it, but through the deception, it believes things that are not true. It really believes things are for itself. So, everything comes out of God, it goes through every channel, and it returns to God. And here is a wonderful quote from Desire of Ages that says, "Even now all created things declare the glory of his excellence. There is nothing save the selfish heart of man that lives unto itself." See, that's the only place where you're opposite to nature. It's the only place where you break the law. In no other places you can break the law. It's just in the heart of man that believes a lie that it can live to itself. But that lie determines you, because what you believe, you must do. And so this is the human problem. He has only one, and that is located in his heart. Sin is not in the world. Sin is not out there. We may see the results of sin there. Selfishness exists in only one place, and that is in the human heart. And that's where disease helps us to see it. No bird that cleaves the air, no animal that moves upon the ground, but ministers to some other life. There is no leaf of the forest or lowly blade of grass, but that its ministry. Every tree and shrub and leaf pours forth that element of life without which neither man nor animal could live. And man and animal in turn minister to the life of tree and shrub and leaf. So is that a circuit? Yes? The flowers breathe fragrance and unfold their beauty in blessing to the world. The sun sheds its light to gladden 1,000 worlds. The ocean itself, the source of all our springs and fountains, receives the streams from every land, but takes to give. So where does all the water come from? Where is the source? Well, yes, God. But where did God put the source for the water? In the ocean. In the ocean. So all the water starts in the ocean and it comes back to the ocean. So when you don't know where a thing starts, you just need to see where it ends, because there it also starts. Yeah? So that's very simple. Yeah? So if all waters go to the ocean, then all waters must start in the ocean. Yeah? So very simple. That is. So, but turning from all lesser representations, we behold God in Jesus. Looking unto Jesus, we see that it is the glory of our God to give. To give. I do nothing of myself, said Christ. The living Father has sent me, and I live by the Father. Which part of the law is that? This or this? It's the first part. 100% dependency. I do nothing of myself, because how much can I do of myself? Nothing. The living Father has sent me, and I live by bread? By what? By the Father. By the Father. That's the dependency, the spiritual dependency of Christ. And now I seek not my own glory, but the glory of Him that sent me. That is which part of the law? Nothing I do for myself. So in Jesus, you have the fulfilling of the law, because He takes everything from the Father. That's the first table of the commandment, and He gives everything for the Father's sake, and all that is the second table of the 10 Commandments. So everything comes back to the same foundation, because there is not much, there is no more. So Jesus in His life shows the spiritual dependency that He has of His Father. He does do the things that He looks from His Father, He says, how I see the Father doing, I do also. And I don't do it for myself, I do it for my Father's sake. Whose invention is salvation? It's God's invention. So Jesus served His Father. For His Father's sake, He came to save us, because His Father wants to save us. That's why Jesus serves His Father, in order to fulfill the Father's plan in salvation of man. You like that? Yeah? So He lives for the glory of His Father, because He knows the Father has sent him for a purpose, and that purpose is to serve and to save. In these words that we read just, is set forth the great principle, which is the law of life for the universe. All things Christ received from God, but he took to give. So you see it? Take in order to give. That's the law. And nothing can change that. Everything is governed by that. So in the heavenly courts, in his ministry for all created beings, through the beloved Son, the Father's life flows out to all. Through the Son, it returns in praise and joyous service, a tide of love to the great source of all, and thus, through Christ, the circuit of beneficence is complete, representing the character of the great giver, the law of life. That's Desire of Ages in the first chapter. So this simple quote gives us an insight in basic things that usually are forgotten by ourselves, and we don't even know them. I did not know them until in my practice God helped me to understand this. So, coming back now from the theory to the practice. According to the law of cause and effect. Yes, the one is the cause, the other is the effect. Where the effect is, the cause cannot be. So the law makes one separation, and that separation is absolute. Where the cause is, the effect cannot be. So let's give an example. You see the car, and has some paintings on it and some scratches. Do you know that the car did that to itself? Yes or no? No, you're laughing. Why do you laugh? Because it's not your car, you don't know the car. How do you know that the car did not scratch itself?
One thing can't happen without you.
Because the law does not permit that the car should paint itself or that the car should scratch itself. It must come from outside. So we see the effect, but what do we not see? The cause. Yeah? So where the effect is, the cause cannot be. So if the effect is on the car, the cause cannot be on the car. Okay? So where you see an effect, there never the cause can be. Is that clear? Then we can make one, we come on step further. According to this law, the body cannot make itself sick. Because according to the law, the body is a physical element, and the physical element has no power in itself to scratch itself or to damage itself. So, understanding the implication of the law, we must know someone needs to hurt the body because it cannot do it by itself. But in our science, we believe the body can destroy itself. You're taught this in school, that we have an immune system and things fight each other, and one is, yeah? And we all have these ideas that there is a battle that the body fights. But the physical element can never fight because it works according to the law. And the physical element can do nothing from itself, and it can never hurt itself. Why do we paint the wood? To protect it from itself or from external factors? Yes, so why would you paint the houses outside? And what happens even if you paint them with the time? Yes, so through the environmental impacts on that wood or that material, you will see with the time a change. Does that do the house itself? Can the wood hurt itself? No. According to the law, that is impossible. And if you have that, that clarifies now the next conclusion. So when disease is made to the body, and the body cannot make itself sick, we need to find out who does it. Because in our teachings and beliefs, medicine suggests to us that physical thing can do something to themselves, which is absolutely, according to the law, possible or impossible? Impossible. Impossible. So we will go a little bit deeper into the matter, that you may understand that there is only one problem in the universe. And Lucifer, when he instigated his fight with God, it had only one focus. There's not more they fight for. It's only for one thing. The battle is there. And that is to remove the barrier that exists between cause and effect. Now this is a little bit challenging for you, but it's good that you get challenged. According to the law, who is the cause of all things? God. Yeah? So, and everything that God has created is what? Yeah, but what is it? Cause or an effect? Now, what God created is an effect. What God does, His creation is an effect. And His first creation, we understand from the Bible, was Lucifer. Yeah? So that's how we know it. So Lucifer is an effect. Can God become a creation? No, because if he would become an effect, he would stop being the cause. Can an effect become a cause? Can Lucifer become God? No, because this was the attempt of Lucifer. He wanted to go from here. Possible or impossible? It's impossible, no matter how much you try. But now, in this whole world, this is the battle. Can an effect become a cause? Or can a cause become the effect? And you will go through all religions and you will see that at the bottom of all things, we only have a mixture to make the effect a cause. Because that's the attempt of Lucifer. That's the attempt of Adam. They wanted to become God. I lost you a little bit, or? Yeah? So let's give an example. Yeah? Of that is never possible that an effect can become a cause, and a cause an effect. Because, you see, in what is pantheism, our good Dr. Kellogg was a bright guy, was he? You know Dr. Kellogg? Yeah, he's American. And so you might eat his cornflakes still, yeah? He came up one day and said, God is in everything. Can that be? No. Why not? Because the law says God cannot be the effect. It's the power of God that sustains everything. But the power of God is not Him. Yes, it's His power. But His power is not Himself. So there is the power of God that sustains me, that sustains my heart beating, that sustains everything in the universe. But it's not Him. The power and Him are two separate things. And now you do what? You just bring them together, which is absolutely impossible. I challenge you with another thing. So the only problem that we will have, and you will see what makes us sick, is a change of order. Yes, that what is an effect becomes a cause. And that is everywhere visible. And I just give you an example that you will see what I mean. What comes first? The disease or the bacteria? And what comes first? The disease or the bacteria? And every one of us is taught that the bacteria comes first. But that is not possible. Because the bacteria needs to live from something or not. What's the first action of the bacteria? To produce a toxin or to have something to eat? It has something to eat. And those pathological bacteria that produce the toxins that then do some harm to our body, because the bacteria itself doesn't do any harm, just what it produces. And if they produce good things, then we say it's non-sick-making bacteria, and if it produces wrong things or toxins for the body, then we say it's pathologic bacteria. But there is something that it starts somewhere, and it starts with eating. And the pathological bacteria that produce toxins when they grow and multiply in our body can only grow on a inflamed tissue. On a non-inflamed tissue, you don't have any pathological bacteria because there's no way to grow. And bacteria, at least what they told us, we cannot all check, but at least we know by the law, a bacteria cannot exist by itself. Can it? No, but they have a form in which they are non-functional. Even bigger animals can have a sleep, or not even sleep, they freeze for 6 months. And when the sun comes, they defrost and live like nothing happened. Yeah? So it's possible to stop all those mechanisms, yeah? And then they restart when the power is back. Yeah? So, and this is how also bacteria cannot be killed, we cannot destroy them, because they always exist. And they must, before they start multiplying and producing something, because they are a channel, yeah, they must have food. And if there is no food, there is no growth and no disease. So disease comes first, and bacteria is always second. It's an effect of the disease. not the cause of it. But if we don't have the law to ourselves, to know that all things start with eating, then we are in trouble. So what did God create first? Food or animals and humans? What did he create first? Food he created first, because without food, if you create something, what shall they eat? Yeah, so food, the taking, must be always first. And then comes the eating and the effect of it. So disease or bacteria, when we find them on the surface in our body or even inside, they're always an effect of disease, not the cause of it. They may cause an amplification of the disease, but they're never the cause. The same it is with the other items that you have learned, like fungus or viruses, all that. So the world is upside down. And that is so unconscious to us. That's why we can be fooled. But if we understand once the battle of Lucifer, he wanted to remove the barrier that exists between cause and effect. An effect can never become a cause. And he deceived himself, and we don't have the time in this just 4 meetings to explain those things, but at least we see the principle behind it. So if he wanted to become a cause from the effect, is it not by reason understandable that every deception must be the mixing of the effect with the cause? That's all. And you will see it. I have presentations and slides where I show how everything is upside down. And selfishness is nothing else than upside down love, as we will see when we give that definition. So the basic thing that we need to know is there is a clarity between cause and effect. Everything that comes out of God becomes automatically an effect. Are you with me? What comes out of the channel is an effect. So, and we are all effects. Yeah? We can never be a cause. Yeah? Because nothing starts with us, with me. It's all, I only start first taking, and then I have to give. So, understanding the basic issue of Lucifer's attempt, we understand where we have to put our emphasis in not being deceived. Because that's the only way to be deceived. Mixing an effect to become a cause. It's not more. At the bottom of it, it's always the same. So, let's come back to our own bodies. Our body is now the channel. This is our body as a whole, and we know, according to the law, it cannot injure itself. It can only be injured from outside. Is that clear? Now we need to find out by what can the body be injured. Yeah? So he's an element who needs things in order to function. And those things in order to function is he needs gas, yeah? Like oxygen. And when we inhale the wrong gas, what happens with it? He will stop functioning. If we take carbon monoxide, many people die on carbon monoxide because it's not smelling, you don't feel it, it just happens and people pass away because they inhale the wrong gas. And then, of course, you can introduce the wrong liquid, yeah, what the body cannot use, and, of course, the wrong food that is also damaging your body. But the body is not only dependent on things he needs to take in, he must also have a certain environment in order to function. So can we function in a frozen ice? Yes or no? No, because we must function in a place there is the right temperature, because we were set to function with a certain temperature. And if that temperature is changing, then when it goes up, we are burnt, and when it goes down, we are frozen. And so we can be destroyed by temperature, can we? We can also be destroyed by pressure. Yeah, when something is hitting us, yeah, the body cannot handle every pressure. Yeah, so you know the accidents that happen when people are diving. Yeah, so we cannot play with pressure, and we cannot even play with pressure when it comes to breathing. I was at the beginning of this year in Peru, and I flew to my second meeting place to Cusco. And Cusco is on an altitude of 3,200 meters above sea level. So the pressure there is higher or lower? Lower. And so even though there is enough oxygen, you don't get enough oxygen. And you get out of the airplane and you wonder why you cannot move like you want to move, like you are used to move. Yeah? You just feel uncomfortable. You want to run and you cannot, because the oxygen pressure is not enough. That's why people need to accommodate there, and if they live there, they have more erythrocytes, so that there's more hemoglobin, so that they can handle the lower pressure, yeah, so that the body can have enough oxygen even though the pressure is not like that. So we are dependent on these things, and there is nothing in the whole creation of God that is not dependent on temperature and pressure. But in all cases, when we burn people, radiation is burning, yeah, it's changing the the temperature. So in all cases, when we find a body that is destroyed by pressure or by temperature, can we know it? I mean, can we trace it back to the cause? Yeah. You can trace it back because it's evident. You can trace back when people have been poisoned by gas or liquid or any other chemical. You can trace it back, and that's why you stay away from poisoning things. Now, there is one thing that you cannot trace back when your body is injured. What is that? Or what we generally don't know to trace back. Is there anything else that the body can be injured? So is there anything else that can damage the body? Or did I put everything on the list here? What can damage the body as well? It is the wrong thought. Yeah? Now, thank you. We are already got over time. That's good. So let's make a break. Yeah? So for drinking, and then we continue with putting the question, can a thought damage the body or not?